Are you kidding me?
Can I kick it?
Step back and kiss myself.
Can I kick it? Can I kick it? Can I kick it? Can I kick it? Can I kick it?
Welcome in to the basketball show. I'm Matt Dick alongside Tanner. And Tanner, how's your summer been so far?
Man, it's been fantastic. It really has. I've done a lot of stuff with Phi Theta Kappa. Went to Philadelphia for Honors Institute. It's been good so far. What about yourself?
Mostly just been working, but I'm glad we're able to do this podcast in the heat of summer. Hope everyone's staying cool out there. But let's just go ahead and jump in. The NBA draft just happened a couple weeks ago, and there has been some big players that have been recently signed to their teams on their rookie contracts. And we're just going to go ahead and jump out with the Suns. They had the first overall pick. And we're going to talk a little about DeAndre Ayton. Of course, he was from the college Arizona. He won Pac-12 Player of the Year. And he was just a modern-day center. He could step out, knock some threes. He averaged a double-double his whole 23 games at Arizona, and just did a great job all around. A great pickup, and he was the consensus number one overall pick. Everyone had him slotted down. What do you think about this kid?
Hey, 7 foot tall, 250, freshman. I was just looking. His birthday's July 23rd. He's just a little bit. We're the same age, basically. So that's crazy that a guy like him is already going in
Exactly.
the NBA, probably going to make millions of dollars over his career. And the Suns, that's my team, so I'm glad they got a good first-round pick on him.
Well, the Suns, they actually, I feel like, had one of the better drafts in this 2018 draft. The second, they traded for the 3-and-D wing from Villanova that just won the Final Four championship, Mikal Bridges. Okay. He was a redshirt freshman coming in, but he has helped Villanova the past 3 years get 2 championships. So this kid knows how to win, and he knows how to play defense, and he's going to be able to, knock down some jumpers and really just help this Phoenix Suns team get more into defense a little bit. Going back to DeAndre Ayton, he's shown some flashes to be a great defensive player, but that's just one of the flaws that he has. Mikal Bridges, he's a small forward. He could play shooting guard, but they already have Devin Booker. Josh Jackson and Mikal Bridges will probably fight for some minutes. So let's just see how he does. What do you think about this kid?
About the Villanova guard? I think he's a good pick, and then you said he was a redshirt, and then he's came in to play and help win.
Yeah.
So it's nice to know they have a guy who maybe wasn't the best at first.
Yeah, exactly.
And then has worked hard and knows what it's like to work hard for his success.
Exactly, and hard work pays off. And jumping to their next pick, Eli Akobo. He is from an international player from France. So, Tanner, I don't know if you know a lot about how international players are signed, but they have a chance to go straight into the NBA, or they have to wait a year and then go. But Akobo has said that he wants to go ahead and go and play for the Phoenix Suns, which he'll probably be the starting point guard because Elfrid Payton, which was traded to Phoenix Suns last year, just signed with the Pelicans. So he's an athletic finisher. They don't know a lot about him, but they just know that he's going to be that guy that is going to drive in and kick it out to one of their shooters of Devin Booker, Mikal Bridges, or even DeAndre Ayton, or even Josh Jackson. I mean, this core is looking good. You got to start somewhere, and just like they said for the 76ers, you got to trust that process.
Exactly. You're right. And one thing, if we want to talk about since we're on the subject of the Suns and getting a good point guard in there, the Suns had Steve Nash for a number of years.
Exactly.
And he was a key component. He could score. He didn't really turn the ball over very much. So maybe that's what they need on that team is somebody who can. Because their success rate has been okay sometimes.
Exactly.
And then it's been terrible.
Yeah. So, I mean, they did have the worst record in the West. Mm-hmm. So that's why they had the number one overall pick. DeAndre Ayton has said that he wants him and Devin Booker, which is their young star that they got back in the 2015 draft, or 2016, excuse me, and has done a great job for him. There actually is talks that he's already going to get a maximum contract, so that'd be good for them to go ahead and lock him up. But DeAndre Ayton has said that he wants him and Devin Booker to be like that Shaq and Kobe combo. I don't think DeAndre Ayton has the defense or even like the pure strength that Shaq had.
Right.
But I definitely think they could be kind of like almost as good.
Right.
But I mean, for him to have that confidence in his team already going in, I think is a great personality and trait to have. So overall, we're doing like a draft grade. So you get A, B, C, D, or Fs. So I'm gonna give the Suns a B+ for how they drafted. The only reason I feel like the Elie Okobo was kind of iffy, and international players are hard to gauge most of the time.
Right.
So I'm giving a B+, which is, I mean, it's still good. I feel like this team is tremendously, maybe not going to improve, but at least see some flashes of improvement.
I agree with that completely. Yep. And then hopefully Aiden will be able, if you said they're going to be a Shaq-Kobe combo, maybe if his defense isn't as good, maybe he's good free throw shooter.
That's true. And he has shown that he can shoot some free throws, so that's good. So maybe he'll be better in that
than
Shaq. Okay, so next we're going to start with the second pick overall in this draft. That was the Sacramento Kings, and they took the power forward / center Marvin Bagley III. And I really, this draft pick intrigued me because all along they're saying, oh, Luka Doncic is going number 2. Luka Doncic is going number 1 possibly. But the Kings decided to go with the Duke star and Marvin Bagley. He won many awards with the Blue Devils, and I just like how this kid plays. He's a stretch 4. People's compared him to Chris Bosh, being able to step out. But the thing that impresses me the most is how his open court offense, which will go ahead and pair along with the person they drafted last year and the Kentucky star De'Aaron Fox. So them being able to run out, but you're going to see some alley-oops. And I feel like the way that they're pushing for is, just to have that fast break offense, and I like this pick a lot.
Yep. I agree. He's a big guy, just like the DeAndre Ayton. He's shown a lot of potential in the NCAA, so hopefully we'll be very pleased with how he plays in the NBA.
And, Marvin Bagley actually dropped a mixtape before he got drafted. Listen to it. It's actually pretty decent. I'm going to go ahead and check it out. I'm going to shout him out. It's called Don't Blink.
Don't Blink?
Yeah, so just check it out. It was actually pretty good. So that is for the Kings, and I went ahead and gave him an A for their draft grade. I just feel like how he's going to be able to fit into the system with the Kings. He's going to be able to, of course, start. He's going to they're going to throw him in there, and I feel like he's going to be able to develop. And I feel like he can make a run for Rookie of the Year in 2018.
I think his saying will probably be, especially if he's in the dunk contest, spitting bars and dunking over cars.
Hey, Blake Griffin dunking over the hood of the Kia.
That's right, the Kia. Yeah.
But we're gonna go ahead and go to the third pick overall, and that was the Hawks had that, and they actually drafted the international superstar Luka Doncic, which before the night of the draft he won a title with his team overseas, and he won the MVP of that league. So, and that European league is actually considered the second best national basketball league. So for him to do that and come in there and dominate, but everyone was surprised when they said, hey, we have a trade coming for you. The kid Trae Young out of Oklahoma got traded to the Hawks, and I call him a modern-day point guard. This guy has logo range, which basically means once he passes half court, you're going to have to guard this kid. He has great passing ability, and he was the first player in NCAA history to lead the league in points and assists. So everyone's writing bust all over him, but I have tremendous faith in this kid. He is kind of undersized,
Right.
but I read a thing where he has trimmed his body fat down and is gaining weight, so that way he's not thrown away from defenders. Also, people's got to remember, back in Oklahoma, he had no help. People were triple teaming him, and he was still having to shoot, and he made some. So, in the NBA, people aren't going to triple team you. It doesn't matter if your
Right.
name is LeBron James or not. So, this kid is definitely going to be a threat. What do you think about the kid, Trae Young?
I think there's a lot to look forward to him. You said he's a littler guy.
Yeah.
There's been players in the past. Spud Webb, wasn't he 5'8"? Is that correct?
Exactly.
Okay. And he's known. I still know who he is. I never even saw him play. So I'm not comparing him to him, but I'm saying that, he's a little guy. He's done well.
Mm-hmm.
He's been triple teamed, at Oklahoma. So yeah, he sounds like he's a tough, and he's working to improve, getting in better shape. So I think that's an excellent pick.
Yeah. And another crazy stat is he actually went to Norman North. So he was from Oklahoma, went to Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
He averaged 45 points his senior year of high school. So, and he also, of course, led the country in points his high school year, then his freshman year in college. So, do you think he's going to be able to lead points per game in the NBA? What do you think about that?
Well, it's a whole different ball field, and there will be a lot of people with a lot more experience than him that he'll be playing against. Some of the other players might be looking to put him in his place, kind of. They think he's going to come and be a hot shot. That's kind of hard to say. I guess we'll just have to wait and see on him. I think that's kind of hard to say that he'll come out and be a leading scorer as first year in the NBA. I don't think that's going to happen.
And that was a great analyst because Lonzo Ball last year, of course, was drafted number 1 overall.
Right.
Came in the league hot-headed. His dad, LeVar Ball, of course, talking trash, saying he's going to be the best player in the league his first year. And the first game, Patrick Beverley, with his great defense, just D'd the Lonzo Ball up, and he couldn't do anything. Put him on clamps, as they say. And he was just not very good. But, Trae Young, I feel like has good upside. But let's move down to, they had 3 first-round picks, okay? And I feel like they addressed the number one thing, which was scoring the basketball. Because these next 2 picks, Kevin Huerter and Amari Spellman, can just shoot the basketball. Kevin Huerter, he's gonna be able to knock down threes for you. So when you're driving in, you kick it out, he's probably gonna make it more than likely. And Amari Spellman, he is a shooting power forward / center, which basically means if this kid can shoot threes, he can shoot the mid range, but he also can play some decent defense. And I feel like these 2 all 3 of these first round picks were great picks for the Hawks.
I completely agree with you. And do you have a rating on their drafting as well?
Yeah, I went ahead and gave them an A just because they addressed the number 1 problem, which was scoring the basketball, and they just got all shooting positions. But the thing that is going to raise some questions is there's not star point guard, but point guard that they have of the future, Dennis Schroeder, which just had a pretty good season, averaging about 17 points. But Trae Young and him both play the same position. Usually, if you're going to draft in the top 5, that usually means that they're going to start right away, or at least in the lottery. So, is there a trade, possibly? Or are they going to put Schroeder at the shooting guard or Trae Young at the shooting guard? There's no way of knowing until the beginning of the season, but I feel like the Hawks addressed what they needed to and got it done.
I agree with you there, yeah. And then if you're asking if there is a possibility of a trade, it would certainly seem that way.
Exactly.
Unless they're wanting, and then this would still be a result in a trade if they want him to play under someone for maybe a year and then kick him out and then give him the spot, which is a possibility.
Okay, so next we have the Memphis Grizzlies, which... basically, their top player, Mike Conley, which has a humongous contract, which he probably shouldn't have got, was injured all year. Marc Gasol basically told the Grizzlies that if they don't start winning, he's just going to play trash, which he did. They only won a handful of games. And so they had two picks in this draft: Jaren Jackson and Javon Carter. Jaren Jackson is from Michigan State. He played good. He can play power forward or center. He has that size where he can, and he is just a defensive-minded guy. Where the Grizzlies, that's what they used to be, the grit and grind place that you'd go to and just hope that they don't play that good defense, because if they did, you're not going to be able to score the basketball. And that's the same way with Javon Carter. He is a defensive-minded guard. He led the NCAA in steals and just did a great job overall for Virginia and West Virginia, excuse me.
Okay.
And so both of those picks, I gave them a B minus.
B minus?
Yeah.
Okay. Jaren Jackson, what I like about him is you were saying you would hope if you played the Grizzlies they wouldn't show up with their defense. And was named the Defensive Player of the Year.
Exactly.
So.
And that's a great point because that they addressed their defense. But another thing to think about is Marcus Saul probably isn't going to get signed again. Because he's a free agent this year. So they're probably saying, we know he's not going to sign, so let's put Jaren Jackson in there and see what he does.
And, give him a shot.
Yeah.
Especially if Mark's having sort of a poor attitude. It's like, why are we giving this guy money? We'll give it to somebody else.
Exactly.
So.
Okay, so next, the Mavericks. Of course, we told everyone already in the Hawks that they traded Trae Young for Luka Doncic, which I have him as an all-around guard, and he has been the most scouted and recruited international player in the history of the NBA. Actually, he has played 2 years with Real Madrid. He's actually won back-to-back MVPs in that EuroLeague, and like I said, the night before the draft, he won the EuroLeague championship and was named their Finals MVP. So this kid, tremendous upside, of course, proven winner in the second best league of basketball. So there's a lot to like about the kid. And they have another international player that has won an MVP, won him a championship, and that's, of course, German Jesus, Dirk Nowitzki.
Right, yeah.
And he's just tremendous upside. But they had 3 second-round picks. 2 of them were traded to him. But Jalen Brunson from Villanova, he's a floor general. He's going to get those playmaking. He's going to do a great job. Ray Spalding, he is like a do-it-all kind of guy, and he'll get you some points, get you some rebounds, and just do a great job there. And another intriguing trade that they got, Kostas Antetokounmpo, which, if you know whose brother that is, that's the Greek freak Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Okay.
And he's an athletic forward, and this almost the same height as his brother, and they're both going into the NBA, so that's got to be exciting for a little brother going into the NBA. So overall, I gave the Mavericks a B+, just because I like the trade, and I feel like they got lots of just help because the Mavericks weren't very good. You got an aging person in of course, Dirk Nowitzki, he hit 40 last year. So they addressed that their team needs to get younger, and I think they did a good job.
I agree with that. Dirk has played he has played a long time, but so you'd be 100% correct, sir.
So the next pick in the draft, of course, was the big guy Mohamed Bamba, and I just described this guy as a defensive beast. Mm-hmm. He had over 3 blocks a game. Played for of course the Longhorns, and they did a great job all year. Averaged a double-double, and this guy is automatically going to bring you defense. He actually has the longest recorded wingspan in the NBA. So for that to happen, he has long hands, long reach. So he's going to get some blocks. He's going to get rebounds. And this guy is over 7 foot tall, so just crazy athletic, and is going to be able to do some damage. What do you think about the kid?
Yeah, being able to having that large of a wingspan, he'll just be able to reach over people and put the ball in the basket.
Exactly.
He'll probably be the highest scorer for his freshman year, or for his rookie year. Excuse me.
I mean, that could definitely be what's going to happen. They also picked up an athletic defender and Melvin Frazier, doing a great job and just helped his team will to win. Defending looks like is what the Magic needs, of course. But the thing is Mo Bamba plays the center position. They have a young, kind of more of a scoring-minded center in Vucevic, so he more than likely they're not going to sign him in free agency. So with that pickup, I gave them a B plus. A lot of B pluses are going to be on this grade draft, just so everyone knows.
Right.
Just because I feel like if you're too rude, everyone has a chance to be good in the NBA. It doesn't matter if you drafted number 1 overall down to number 60, because look at the guard Isaiah Thomas. He led the league. He was the third leading scorer last year with 28.9 points, and he was the last pick in the draft. So anything can happen. I feel like anyone can be a star, and everyone has tremendous upside. It just depends. And a lot of people are too early to write them off.
Yeah.
So the next, we have the Bulls, and of course, they got Wendell Carter Jr. And Chandler Hutchinson. Both are big men. Both can play some defense. Both can get you buckets. And of course, the Bulls need some big men. They addressed their guards. They have Chris Dunn. They have Zach LaVine. Now they needed some big men, and they got 2 in the draft. I gave them a B minus.
Yeah.
So next we have the Cavs. And later, of course, we'll talk about the big news about the Cavs. But Colin Sexton getting drafted out of Alabama, an athletic scoring point guard. Honestly, his ceiling, in my opinion, could be a Kyrie or Irving-esque player. And I feel like they look the same. They kind of play the same. Both built to win and both built to last. So let's just see if Colin Sexton will be able to fit into this Cavs organization well. And I give him an A on this draft pick. I really like his upside, and he was one of the better point guards in this draft.
Right. And they need somebody to step up, too, after the recent leaving of the big man himself.
Exactly. So he's definitely got to play some heavy minutes as a rookie. So he could possibly be a running candidate of Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
So next we have, of course, the New York Knickerbockers.
Right.
And they got Kevin Knox and Mitchell Robinson. Fun fact about Mitchell Robinson, he actually played JUCO ball. So shout out to junior colleges making it in the NBA, and you think it can happen. He played 2 years and then went to, I actually do not remember the college, but he went there and played, and he's an athletic big man. But go back to Kevin Knox. Back in the 2016 draft, they drafted someone. He got booed when they got drafted. Now he's an all-star. His name is Kristaps Porzingis, and Kevin Knox was booed on stage. So I think solidified his role as maybe a future all-star.
Right. Yeah.
So I gave them a B plus overall. Now we go to the 76ers. Trust that process. Joel Embiid coming out, playing good, all-star selection. Ben Simmons just won Rookie of the Year. So congrats to him. Looking like a LeBron-type player, can do it all, but also finish. The only thing he needs to address is, of course, his jump shot. So they traded for this kid named Zaire Smith, defensive-minded guard. He's going to be able to get you some points, get you some buckets. And I think another thing is they traded for him. They drafted Mikal Bridges. So I feel like they're the same type of player. So a lot of people are going to say you should have kept Mikal Bridges because he lives there. But, Zaire Smith was a good player, and I feel like a good pickup. And Asal Bonga, point forward guard, did a great job for his team. Always thinking ahead and being able to pass down the court in an open court, and I like his upside as well. I gave them a B-.
B-. All right. Hey, at least you're passing them, though.
Exactly. That's what counts. So, next, we have the Hornets. And they got Miles Bridges in a trade from the Clippers.
Mm-hmm.
Pure scorer is what I like to call him. He just has a silky, wet jump shot, being able to score. And that's something, of course, the Hornets need because they were one of the worst teams in the Eastern Conference. So, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist is pretty much, they're saying, hey, dude, they drafted him back, hasn't had a good career, basically telling him, we're going a different direction, I feel like. And they also picked up, of course, the Kansas star, Devontae Graham.
Right.
Which, fun fact, him and Frank Mason, which was drafted last year, drafted in the exact same spot of the draft. So, Kansas going back-to-back in the same spot of the draft. So, congrats to them. I'm going to call him a defensive shooting point guard.
Mm-hmm.
He plays defense. He is kind of undersized, but he gets up in you, has great perimeter defense, but also can shoot the ball. And just a great pickup for the Hornets. I'm giving them also a B-.
Right. Okay.
The Clippers traded for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Mm-hmm.
He is a fluid athlete / scorer, and I feel will just help the Clippers tremendously after the Austin Rivers trade, which was traded to the Wizards. And Jerome Robinson, just a talented scorer. So both of these guys are like, hey, we got to start scoring some baskets. The Clippers, of course, Doc Rivers had to trade his son. Austin Rivers played for his dad. So it's probably a little heartbreaking, but I feel like it was the best for him. And picked up 2 good guards. I give them a B- as well. Okay. We're going to end with the Nuggets. We're going to just do the lottery picks for the draft. And what we're going to end on is the biggest question mark in this draft, I believe. Michael Porter Jr.
Mm-hmm.
He committed to Missouri, was a top 5 prospect going in, and was still a top 5 prospect going out of the NCAA season, only playing a total of 22 minutes in his whole career. He was injured the first 2 minutes of his first game, and then came back the playoffs and got a double-double. So, obviously, the Nuggets were intrigued, and I put an A, question mark. The reason why I put the question mark is he could be injured for a while and not come back.
Uh-huh.
Or he could just come out and completely dominate the league. I feel like they should let him wait a year to come out and be like a Ben Simmons and come in and then dominate his second year. And I just call him an athletic, scoring big man.
Right.
One of the better people in this draft, and I feel like the Nuggets got a snag. And so with that, we're going to wrap up this draft class lottery. And overall, I feel like this draft class was pretty intriguing. And I feel like a lot of these players, there's some future stars in this draft class. I don't think it's a bust. And, of course, a lot of them were small forward or power forward or center-minded.
Right.
But I feel like this is a very solid class. And, of course, you know, like you said, a lot of these players are around our age, so we're going to grow up watching a lot of them, and probably we're going to see one of them retire as a Hall of Famer.
Yep.
So that's going to be very interesting. So, our next topic, big players going places. So, a week ago I said, hey Tanner, I texted him and I said, hey Tanner, these are our top 5 free agents. Let's talk about where they're going to go.
Yep.
And so, 4 of the 5 have already decided.
Right.
Number 1 person who we're going to talk about.
I mean, do we even have to guess? We
No,
don't.
we don't. The King, LeBron James. Okay, before there's any discrepancy, I'm just going to go ahead and throw this out here, Tanner.
Okay.
I've been a Lakers fan since 2004, okay?
right.
Have a couple Kobe jerseys. I'm a huge Kobe fan. I personally think best player of all time. People can argue with me all they want. LeBron James, though, going to the Lakers makes me happy because it's going to give us a shot of finally going back to the playoffs. And I'm not dogging on LeBron James saying that Kobe's better than him. Obviously, LeBron James is the best player in the league right now.
Right.
So, for him to go to the Lakers is amazing. Obviously, had a great stat line, averaging 28 points a game, 8 rebounds, 8 assists. Just dragged. Basically, everyone, he had his arm out, dragging people to the finals this year. And
carrying.
Carrying. Basically, he said, hey, everyone jump, every 10 other players jump on my back. I'm going to run us to the finals.
Yep.
And even though they got swept, I will say the first 3 games, the last game, he was already defeated. He already gave up. But the first 3 games, he kept it close. But the Lakers got a good player. And what do you think about this?
Well, I started doing some research about 4 days ago whenever you got in contact with me. And I just Googled LeBron James. And the most popular search was, will LeBron go to Houston, L.A., or Philly?
Exactly.
And I thought it was a stretch for him to go to the Lakers. I thought that would not be possible. What I did think was there's some younger guys there, including the Ball brother, and that maybe it needed developed and they needed a leader. What I didn't realize is how much LeBron looked up to Magic Johnson, who is he's not the is he the owner of the Lakers?
He's the GM.
He's the general manager.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so he's the general manager of the Lakers.
And
he was I guess he was a key factor in deciding on him to go to the Lakers.
Exactly.
And that's something I didn't realize.
And honestly, I think him and Magic play a lot like they play similar because they're both really. Magic Johnson should have played small forward his whole career, but he was one of those players that said, "Hey, actually, I can handle the ball. I can make these passes." And just like LeBron James says, "Hey, even though I'm a small forward, give me the ball. I can be a playmaker."
Right.
He averaged 8 assists, and that's just crazy. Like I said, dragged the team to the finals, and a lot of people are saying, "Oh, LeBron James's 8 finals appearances in a row, his streak is going to be over." Maybe that's the case, but you can't. The man gave everything he got to the Cavs for his 2 stints. He went to the finals one time before he went to Miami, of course, and lost. He knew he wasn't going to be able to win. The Cavs weren't doing anything to help him. Then won 2 championships, of course, with the Heat. A great team. A lot of people say this spurred the Kevin Durant signing. We'll talk about that when we get to KD. I completely disagree. And then signed back with the Cavs. Of course, defeating the 73-9 Warriors in a 7-game series. The Warriors blowing a 3-1 lead. And I'm sorry, but that has to. If I'm Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, even though they've won 3 championships in 4 years, that would still stay in my head.
Yep.
Haunt me
all the time.
Because one man basically dismantled a team that had the best record in the NBA, and they plowed their way to the finals, and just it still blows my mind every day. LeBron James, shout out, great job. Still blows my mind every day. I'm still happy because I'm one of those people that don't like the Warriors.
Right. I know what you're saying.
So, the Lakers, I agree with what you said. Him going to develop young players. Of course, they got Kyle Kuzmania, one of my favorite draft picks from last year that they had. Brandon Ingram showed flashes of being great and actually has been compared to Kevin Durant. And Kevin Durant has reached out to him, and they trained together. So a lot of his moves you may be seeing in the future, they're both built the same, long and lanky, but can still play defense and get shots.
Right.
And, of course, Lonzo Ball, possibly one of the bigger question marks because everyone's writing him off as a bust. Okay.
Right.
You look at him. You say, what can this kid do? He did make his players better, okay, this year. Almost averaged 7 assists. But him being on the court, they automatically won more games. They were, even though they finished 11th, that's the most games they've won in the past 3 years. So him being on the court, those young players developing, I feel like actually did help them. Even though he did shoot 30% from the field, they compare him to Jason Kidd. If you compare Jason Kidd rookie year and his rookie year, it's almost identical, which is kind of crazy to think about. Both about 10, 7, and 7. Both didn't shoot very well, but Jason Kidd, surefire Hall of Famer. So, with this, we're going to jump down to our second big free agent that signed within the first hour of free agency. Kevin Durant.
Yes, sir.
The Snake.
Yeah, as some would call him. Yeah.
Of course, staying with the Warriors for 2 more years. Then he has a player option his second year. So that means if somehow the Warriors don't win another championship, or somehow Klay Thompson may sign somewhere else in free agency in 2019, he could opt out and go into free agency. So, 2 years, $61 million contract. Of course, even though I do not like him, I will say this. Second best player in the league.
I mean, it's hard to say that he's not good.
Yeah.
He is a good player.
I mean,
excellent player.
The way he manhandled the Cavs in the finals just proves how talented this guy is. And Game 3, when the Cavs were leading the whole time, Klay Thompson and Stephen Curry only combined for 22 points in the altogether heading into the third quarter. Didn't shoot very good, actually almost horrible. Kevin Durant, a 50-point game, winning. So this guy, as much as you can say you do not like him, I still like him as a player, and broke hearts of Thunder's fans. But we'll talk about Paul George in a little bit. But
right.
What do you think? Do you think the Warriors are posed to win 2 more championships?
It just depends on how everything this year goes, and how some of the new draft picks and some of the guys who are coming for their second year mesh together, and how they develop as the year goes. I do not see any reason why they want to go to the finals again.
Exactly.
And then it was actually somewhat. Even though I wasn't a fan of his decision to leave Oklahoma City, it was kind of a smart decision, because it would seem that him and Westbrook, carried Oklahoma City for the most part. And then Durant would usually choke, honestly. And then with the Golden State, it appeared that Klay and they choked, and then Durant carried them for finals, but
and I agree with you. But okay, people try to compare LeBron James leaving the Cavs as Kevin Durant leaving the Thunder
for this year, or
no,
for him leaving.
Yeah, okay. This is my input. LeBron James went to a team that only won 42 games. Kevin Durant went to a team that just won 73 games. Okay, that doesn't add up.
So you're saying LeBron going to the Lakers, correct?
No.
You're saying
LeBron,
the first time
LeBron going to the Heat.
To the Heat.
Yes,
okay.
I'm comparing Kevin Durant leaving the Thunder and LeBron James leaving the Heat. People say that it's the same thing. Okay, Kevin Durant leaves. Okay, 2 top things. 73 win team won the finals.
Right.
The Thunder lost in 7 games to the Warriors and almost won. They blew a 3-1 lead on the Warriors to lose, and they went to the finals. So for him to just say, hey, you know what? If you can't beat them, join them. That's basically what I'm saying. And LeBron James, the Cavs weren't doing anything for him. Basically, just like he did this year, carried them and couldn't get anything done. Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade and LeBron James together, like I said, only won 42 games. And just, I don't know, just the whole essence of the thing. Kevin Durant, like I said, second place player. But when people try to compare LeBron James leaving to Kevin Durant leaving, I just don't agree. But on the topic of the Thunder, of course, everyone was saying PG to LA with LeBron, PG to
Right.
LA with LeBron. It's going to happen no matter what. I saw a tweet of Paul George's barber, actually in OKC, said, I have some big, Paul George is going to have some big news tonight. So obviously that set Twitter on fire.
Right.
And then all of a sudden I saw Paul George and Russell Westbrook have a party. I'm like, okay, so a party, like a going away party or like a signing party, and
Yep.
then all of a sudden pop up on Bleacher Report, Paul George stays in the Thunder, 4-year, $137 million contract.
Right.
Woj bomb. What do you think about that?
I thought he was going to the Lakers because what I had read last week on Bleacher Report was it would be in the budget to not only obtain LeBron, but to obtain Paul George.
Exactly. They had the ability to sign 2 max contracts, which is a lot of money. So everyone was saying that, and I agree with you how everyone was saying to the Lakers, and I feel like it was a good decision for Paul George, honestly, to stay with the Thunder, because the Thunder, still with this team, I feel like still has a chance to beat the Warriors, in my opinion.
Oh, they're an excellent team,
Yeah.
and they've got Westbrook too. So they're
And I mean, even though they have an aging Melo, maybe they'll be able to mesh together a little bit more and tell him, hey, cool it on the shots as much. You're not the Melo you used to be. Maybe
right.
come in as a 6th-man role or something like that and do good. But I want to talk about how Paul George has just done a great job in his career. And even though he got traded from the Pacers, I feel like him staying here basically says, hey, I want to win a championship in OKC. And I feel
Yep.
like a lot of the fans were waiting, like, oh, well, we already know he's going to leave. And then when they saw this, all the OKC fans rejoiced. And I like the Thunder. And, I mean, it was a great pickup.
Yeah, he's making it. He's showing that he's going to make it home.
Exactly. And our next, of course, big signing, my favorite point guard in the league, Christopher Paul. And Chris Paul, CP3, a great person. I just like how he plays the game. This
Right.
guy can run around the court, dish assists like crazy, and score. Everyone was saying, oh, Chris Paul and James Harden won't be able to coexist. Well, Mike D'Antoni addressed and said, hey, we're gonna go to the finals. And even though they lost to the Warriors in 7, that was still without Chris Paul. So think if you put Chris Paul on the court, they could have won. They're
Yeah.
up 3-2, could have won in 2 more games. And a 4-year, $160 million contract. Tanner, what do you think about that?
It's insanity, And I couldn't see any reason for him to leave because he's an aging player as well.
Exactly.
And he's still good. He's still relevant.
Exactly.
But of course, they did not want him to leave. But I'm not really surprised. That's pretty much what I thought was going to happen, was he was going to stay with the Rockets. But
And a lot of people said that too. I think everyone was saying maybe he'll go back to the Clippers. No, that wasn't going to happen. Basically, the Clippers are in complete rebuilding mode because they shipped out, of course, Blake Griffin, and then we'll talk about DeAndre Jordan a little bit. But Chris Paul, I feel like if they sign one more role player or someone, and if they get Clint Capella, he's a restricted free agent, they're going to have to pay Clint, and he averaged a double-double, did a great job, great defensive, and I watched him. He had a great series against Golden State. If they get him, I feel like they have a good big 3 in Harden, Paul, and Capella to really go after the Warriors once again. And I feel like that's a great job for them. Another person we're talking about, the only top 5 free agent we had slotted down that hasn't signed yet, of course, is Boogie Cousins. And he is with the Pelicans. Okay. The two other teams that they have talked about is the Lakers and the Wizards. Okay, so Pelicans, of course, are still the number one team to re-sign him. Anthony Davis and DeMarcus Cousins really meshed this year before he got injured. Anthony Davis said that they could have went to the finals and won if DeMarcus Cousins stayed healthy. I don't know about that. That may have been a stretch, but they were playing very well together. And I feel like that kind of duo in the front court is very scary for each team to face every night. But the Pelicans signing Elfrid Payton, a nice, being able to pass first point guard. Him, DeMarcus Cousins, of course, Drew Holiday is still going to be there. I feel like this team could be very good if they get DeMarcus Cousins. Now, the Lakers, of course, have shown interest in him, which they would address needing a center because they really don't have one. So,
Right.
also with the Wizards, they just, of course, traded Marcin Gortat to the Clippers for Austin Rivers. So, obviously, they're saying they want a new center. So, all these teams need a center. Tanner, which team do you think, will be more likely to get him?
I think the team that will most likely get him is the one that's going to pay the most, because if all those teams need a center,
Yeah.
then he's going to be like, who, is it
exactly.
a bidding war? What is it,
Yeah.
But it's hard to say. The Spurs, I had read that offered him a contract. Had you heard that?
No, I haven't, but I mean, I don't see why they wouldn't, because
Here, and I've got the number. I think it was supposedly they offered him a 2-year, $40 million contract with the Spurs. I don't know. That's
I mean,
hard to
a
say.
Spur. I didn't think about that, but definitely, I like that. I feel like he'd be a great kind of almost Tim Duncan-esque player that could fit that role with LaMarcus Aldridge. And, of course, they picked up Lonnie Walker, the fourth in the draft. So, with that team, that could be very interesting as well. I didn't think about that. But the team that I feel like interests me the most, which one of my favorite backcourts in the NBA
All right.
is the Wizards. With John Wall, I like John Wall. He's a great player. And Bradley Beal. They haven't been able to do very much. They always make it to the playoffs. They haven't made it past the second round ever. So they need to go to at least the Eastern Conference Finals or bust up this team, in my opinion, next year. So if they get DeMarcus Cousins, that's going to help them tremendously.
Yeah.
John Wall is going to have a big man to throw it up to. And DeMarcus Cousins can also hit the three. So John Wall driving in, see DeMarcus Cousins open in a corner, he's going to be able to knock that down. So the Lakers, I feel like he'll fit with the Lakers as well. Just, I feel like the Lakers are going to go after someone else that we're going to talk about later.
Right. Well, they didn't get Paul George.
Yes.
So that leaves him wide open now.
Exactly. And so with that, there's more. That's why the head, Magic Johnson, saying that he doesn't feel pressure that he has to sign free agents, but they already got LeBron. So LeBron's going to bring some free agents and has actually attracted free agents already. Lance Stevenson, JaVale McGee signing already. And, Julius Randle is a restricted free agent. I would Magic Johnson, I would go down there, talk to Julius Randle, and say, hey, take this qualifying offer. I promise you we'll pay you after next year and see how well he does. Because if not, you don't have to sign him. Qualifying offer is only $5 million. The kid played good, 16 rebounds, 16.7 rebounds. Did a great job. Now, other big free agents that signed that wasn't in our top 5.
Right.
Nikola Jokic, the Joker, from the Nuggets, signed a 4-year, $148 max contract. Now, this kid is good. He was the 14th pick in the second round, so definitely a big surprise for the Nuggets. He averaged 18 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists, and that's great for a big man. Now, there has been rumors that he wasn't going to re-sign and sign somewhere else, but they locked him up really quick within the first hour of free agency. And with him, Mike Porter, and Jamal Murray, that is a future 3 that is very scary and will be able to do good. What do you think about this signing?
I don't know a lot about him, but I know you know your stuff. So if you think it's a potential big three, then that probably is a very good possibility. That's about what you need is three key players to make a
Exactly.
great team. So
And especially of this league of super teams, you have to lock up your best players quick unless they're going to jump ship with, you never know, maybe the Warriors again. I'm just kidding. But,
Yeah.
you never know in this league because people are like, hey, I want to go play. I want to win championships. That's the number one goal in this league right now. And you may call them ring chasers, but, I mean, it is... I mean, you would want to wear that ring. I mean, you see how many diamonds, how many rings they have on their fingers, and you're just like, other players are like, hey, I could go get that. Let me go jump on here. So, the next big free agent, which actually almost signed with the Mavericks back in 2015, the big man DeAndre Jordan.
Right.
So, there was talks that he was going to sign with the Mavericks earlier in the year, and pretty much solidified that he was going to sign somewhere else when the Wizards traded for Marcin Gortat. So, DeAndre Jordan, just a 1 year, $24 million contract. Basically, a contract that says, hey, if you do good a year, we're going to keep you. So,
Right.
he's got to show them that he's going to do good, but they address their number one problem, which was defense. So, him, Luka Doncic, and of course, their last year lottery pick, Dennis Smith Jr., which I like a lot. Tremendous upside. Kind of a big three. And Harrison Barnes as well will be able to develop. I feel like DeAndre Jordan's defensive pressure, the Mavs could be going back to the playoffs. Now, to end our segment, our big trade rumor of the year, Kawhi Leonard, back in June said, hey, I want out of San Antonio. Shocked the world. No, everyone was kind of expecting it, but still shocked because, he was injured, didn't
Right.
play all year, and then was cleared to play and said, no, I'm still not playing. So obviously there was some bad blood. Basically what he told Greg Popovich is that, hey, this ain't a big market team. I'm a top 5 player, which he is when he's healthy. He's a top 5 player in the league. But I'm not getting the recognition. I'm not getting the shoe deals. I'm not getting the contract. I'm just not happy. Basically told Greg Popovich, I ain't coming back no matter how much money you pay me.
yeah,
He's still on a 1 year, $20 million deal. So, the biggest team, and a Woj bomb happened a couple hours ago. Basically, right after LeBron James signed, Kawhi Leonard said, where did he want to go? The Lakers. He said, I want to be a Laker. So, for that to happen, in my opinion, if they're just going to straight up trade for him this year, which I wouldn't want to see happen, because I'm a Lakers fan, I like the core that we have, you wait a year. But, basically the trade rumors is Luol Deng, you get rid of that contract, Brandon Ingram, and Kyle Kuzma for Kawhi Leonard. The trade would work. You throw in some first-round draft picks, maybe a second-round draft pick, you get Kawhi for 1 year. But he still may not re-sign.
right.
So what you do, in my opinion, you wait a year and then sign him. Say, hey, Kawhi, you can get traded somewhere else. Just come here next year. You let LeBron James develop these young players. We promise you're going to like our team better next year than you do this year because our team's going to be better. And so what do you think about this trade?
Now, if he's after the shoe deals and the big recognition, going to the Lakers, I don't see how that help him because I think he'd be drowned out by LeBron James's popularity.
Yeah.
He would need to go to maybe a team that is not very successful,
Yeah.
as long as he could stand out.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
That's why I was saying his comment on that wasn't very smart one because, I mean, even though you are going to the Lakers, of course, a huge franchise, has won the second most championships ever in the NBA. But I did read where Kawhi basically texted LeBron and said, hey, if you go to the Lakers, I'm going to go there too. I will be your second guy. You won't have to carry the load as much. I will play defense. You just focus on offense is basically what he said.
Yeah.
So I think he's saying that he doesn't mind being a second person, but he just
Right.
wants to be in a bigger market.
I
So,
see what you mean.
Kawhi Leonard to the Lakers, we can see it happen. But basically, that is going to be it for us. We had a great podcast, draft projections, free agency, a trade rumor, of course, a big one. And signing off, of course, this is Matt Digg and Tanner Glenn.
Yep.
Basketball show. We will see you guys possibly with some summer league podcasts later on in the summer. And we will see you guys later.
Thanks for having me, Matt.
You're welcome anytime.